Welcome back, everybody. So today I'm gonna put a bumper on the Bobcat UV34. It's a Wild Boar winch bumper. I'll set the camera up and let you guys see how this thing goes on. I don't know if it's gonna fit or not. It's actually for a Polaris 1000, but Polaris builds the Bobcat, and it sure does appear that everything's identical other than this plastic right here. This vertical bump out of plastic is not the same on a Polaris, so that may cause me issues, but we'll find out. All right, so take this off here, see if I can see. This thing is brand new. I've never done anything to it, so I don't know honestly what it's going to take, but I believe this part of the grill will come out independently of this part. Okay, pretty simple. This is all part of that, but I believe I'll go get the bracket. I believe it bolts here and here. Let me grab it and we'll see. All right, so here's the bag of bolts that came with it. On the Polaris Ranger, they must come stock with a factory bumper. Obviously this one doesn't. It says to take the bolts out of the factory bumper here and here on the instructions that come with this. I don't have a factory bumper, so I believe alright, so we got I already see a problem here. This is all part, I think I'm gonna have to cut this off in order to get this to bolt there and there. So I think what I'm gonna do is temporarily bolt the bumper onto the bracket, and then I'm gonna hold it up here and see if I have the clearance between these and the bumper, because what I'm afraid of is once this bolts on here, the bumper fits on here, the bumper is gonna hit this vertical piece here. And if that's the case, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I really don't want to cut all that plastic up. I wouldn't mind having to cut this out. That wouldn't be that big a deal. But if I have to get into these, I'm not gonna do that, I don't think so. All right, I guess I'll go get the bumper temporarily bolted onto this thing and go from there. All right, so I really don't even got to put any bolts in here to see. Sure does look like it'll be fine. And worst case scenario, I may have to notch this to give it clearance past these. That would be worst case scenario, but I don't even think we're gonna have to do that. So I'm gonna cut this piece of this grill out. I think it'll trim out there pretty nice. I bet you a good pair of dikes would probably cut it out. All right, try a couple different things here. Sorry about the growling in the background. The puppies are fussing with each other, it appears. They're just playing. Not a big fan of cutting up my new buggy, but that's what I need there. One thing about, I guess I'm not overly impressed with the instructions. There's just a QR code that you gotta scan to view the instructions, installation instructions, but I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's not rocket science. So. That will, I'm gonna have to take the factory tow hook off, is right here, to let that go back up against. I think I might as well go get some wrenches and stuff. I never gathered any of that up. I was more curious whether it was even gonna remotely come close to fitting or not, but I'll be back. All right. Thinking I can probably use these bolts right there. Don't see nothing wrong with that. obviously I'll tighten them up more, but I wanted to see, now that that's bolted up against, is this going to fit right? And I believe we can work with that. Oh, get the camera up here. Doesn't leave a ton of clearance, and it doesn't fit exactly match the contour of the lights. I may have to, all those bolt holes are lining up, have 3/16 of an inch clearance there. So I think it needs to, that bracket needs tweaked a little bit so that this bumper, I mean, it's off just a touch. And this doesn't quite line up with them headlights. I'm not. I mean, it'll serve the purpose. So the other question I have, let me throw a bolt in that so it doesn't fall off there on me. The other question I have is, does this skid plate is it going to fit properly? And the answer appears to be yes. Except, maybe the answer ain't yes. These bolt holes are not wide enough, far enough apart down there. So this may need holes drilled in order to catch these holes here. But I'll verify with the instructions that that's the way it goes. I'm 99% sure it is, 99.9. And it is going to get into this plastic right here. So, I may have to notch the skid plate in order to get all this mounted on here, to get the skid plate on there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read the instructions because I'm not sure why there's a gap between this lip and I can stick my finger in there, which means that that bumper is going to have to go up like so. Which is going to put a gap in between the bumper and the mount on top. Unless that plate, maybe this plate goes in between there. I bet it gets sandwiched in there. I'll read the instructions. I think it's going to work just fine. All right, let me go back and look at the book or the instructions on this. They're only online only, so I'll look at the instructions and be back. All right, so I wanted to go ahead and get all the bolts started for the winch as well, just to get everything lined up before I tightened anything up. Problem I'm realizing is the bolts that they send you with the winch, by the time you also go through the 2 layers, the bracket and the bumper thickness, the base for the winch and the winch, get up in the winch, the bolts just aren't quite long enough. So I'll have to get a little, like 1/4 inch longer bolts for that. But I wanted to get this on here so that I could tighten these bolts up after I lined everything up the best I can. Give it as much clearance as possible. Probably go ahead and see what I need to do down here. So I'll stick a couple bolts in here. What they don't give you is very much clarity on what bolts go where. There's carriage head bolts and there's standard hex head bolts. Instructions have a little bit to be desired, but that's okay. I'm gonna put the washer on there because I gotta figure out what I gotta cut off of here. Because I am gonna have to cut some off. I have to cut some off. Because this is definitely hitting that plastic. So I guess the real question is now, what do I want to trim? The aftermarket part or the OEM part? I may fabricate something for that. That way that can still stay down like that. And bolt at the bottom, bolt tight at the bottom. So I think what I'll do is put all the bolts in, snug them up, and get some measurements. It really is a simple install. Had it been a Polaris buggy instead of a Bobcat buggy, I'm sure it would have been 15 minutes and been done. Maybe 20. So I wanted to show you what I had to do here. This skid plate went down at an angle here. I had to notch this out because of this plastic on the Bobcat has this vertical plastic here, and I really didn't want to cut the plastic of the Bobcat anymore. And I also had to move my hole for this bolt that bolts it to the frame. For whatever reason, on the Bobcat, those holes are only, I think it was 10 3/4 inches apart, and on the plate it's like 12 1/2 or something like that. I can't remember, but so I had to make those adjustments on that skid plate. I've already bolted it up, and for fitment, it fits really well. I'm gonna take it off right now so that I can mount that bumper. With it in there, I can't get up to put my, or not the bumper, mount the winch, because with that skid plate on there, it blocks my access to the bolts for the bottom of the winch. So I'll go ahead and do that now. I think, yeah, I still can't get to them. I gotta take these out. Doing. This is Remy. Got an 8-week-old pup. She's a half mountain cur, quarter beagle, and quarter blue tip. So here you can see what I had to do. This was the factory holes. I had to drill new holes beside the factory ones to be able to bolt to the frame. And then this used to come down straight to that corner. I notched it a little bit and It fits great. I will probably, at some point, it depends on how, because this is part of the support for the bumper. I may put a strap on here, a little 3/4 angle iron or something to strengthen that, because it no longer has this rolled edge, which gives it a lot of rigidity. But that's future. See if I got a socket extension in my, I don't have an extension in my truck. In the garage. I'm just working in the driveway, putting this thing on here in the driveway. here, Ruger. Ruger, come. This is Ruger. He's about 5.5 months old. Sit. Ruger. Ruger. Hey, no. No. You're not taking my tools. No. Look at this. Look at this nutcase. All right. I will say, this is a It's a really simple install for this bumper. I mean, it's about as simple as you can get. There's 4 bolts to mount the bracket to the frame. 4 bolts mount the bumper to the bracket. And then 6 bolts to mount the skid plate brace to the bumper and to the frame. So pretty simple install. This is a Super ATV Black Ops 4,500 pound winch that's going on this. The Wild Boar bumper, I went ahead and ordered the shackles for it. The LED lights, those are going in next. Once I get the install the bumper done. I got a little bit of, got to put hay out and whatnot, so I'll probably take a break from installing, doing all the wiring for the lights and everything until after I get that done. But pretty simple install. Not a whole heck of a lot to it. So far I'm pretty happy. You can see that this is since it's a Bobcat and this bumper is for a Polaris Ranger, this angle on the Ranger, the headlights are laying at a little bit steeper angle, so it's a little bit off. But I like this bumper better than the Bobcat. If you order the accessory from Bobcat, the front bumper, it's a big beastie brush guard and everything, and I really didn't want that on there. I like the winch being mounted up high like this. Hopefully it'll hold up okay. I'll eventually put a snowplow on the front of this probably as well. But I'll finish bolting this up, go do my chores, and come back and do the wiring, lights and wiring. All right, everybody. I took a pause a day or two, had some logs to haul Saturday and yesterday. I went ahead and yesterday afternoon installed the lights and finished up the winch. I'll go ahead and show you the wiring. I did not video all the wiring, but you'll see how simple it was. So there's the 2 large cables coming off the winch. I just brought them up through here and mounted the winch controller here, and then these 2 battery cables go back to battery. I ran them down. That's another thing that I've noticed is a little different with the Bobcat versus the Polaris. The air intakes for the clutch and the engine air intake, they put them clear up here under the hood, where the Polaris actually comes out the side back there. But so this is the excess wiring for the winch controller, excess wiring here for the pod lights. I tied the pod lights in hot all the time, so they're on the hot post here, which is not switched until I get a couple these plugs. Those plugs are to plug in accessories. You have a The bottom one on these is 12 volt positive all the time, non-keyed, and the middle one is your keyed 12 volt. So I tied my winch controller, just got it laying there right now because it's not finished technically. So tied my winch controller into the keyed positive there, switched positive. I can show you, they routed, the battery cables just routed through the tunnel. That's your air intake for the engine and for the clutch. Just routed them up there with the other cables and wires going up through there, and tied them onto the battery positive and negative. So as you can see, this thing is pretty dirty already. It's fall in Ohio, starting to cool down quite a bit, but the dust was just terrible. We've had a really dry year, and the dust has been really bad, and leaves and whatnot. So we're getting some rain now, but anyhow, just wanted to follow up, let you guys see the finished product of the wiring and the finished product of the winch and the lights, and the bumper and skid plate. I think it turned out pretty good. Looks pretty nice. Will serve the purpose quite well, I'm sure. Thanks for watching, everybody. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed my videos, take care.